Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining me for today's video. In it, I wanted to do something a little bit different, take a deep dive into what comes next for Cam Newton. Couple questions that I wanted to answer in this video. Does Cam Newton even need football anymore? Does he still want to play the game, or has he moved on to his other ventures? We're going to dive into what that looks like as well, because he's got a lot going on and it might not be something that is necessary for him anymore. The reason I wanted to look into Cam Newton is because I still think that he's a starting caliber quarterback at best, and at worst could be a really good mentor to a bunch of young quarterbacks throughout the league. Before we get into that, if you guys are new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. Your support means so very much. It is greatly appreciated and it helps me out a ton. With that done, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. So to start, we're gonna go with the first question. Does Cam Newton need football? And I think to answer this, we have to go back and look at what he has done both recently and in the past. We're gonna start with his 2015 NFL MVP season, where he absolutely balled out. He threw for over 3,800 yards, rushed for another 600 plus, and that was with 45 total touchdowns, including 10 of them on the ground, and that was with just 10 picks. He completed 60% of his passes. In that year, the Panthers dominated. They went to the Super Bowl where they came up just short, but Cam has been to the precipice of the sport, and he's helped mold and change the game into something that maybe none of us saw coming. And we've seen that evolution advance more and more as the seasons have gone on. Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields is now starting to take over the reins a little bit. Josh Allen does a lot of what Cam Newton did throughout his career. So he has helped to evolutionize the sport and change the way that we perceive it. Recently, what has Cam done? Because he's been to the top, and there certainly have been some falls throughout the way. When he left Carolina, a lot of people were interested to see where he was gonna go, what his new opportunity was going to be, and it came in New England with the Patriots in 2020. Now, I think a couple things need to be said about that season, because Cam was not set up for success in any way, shape, or form, and I think people who try to argue against that probably didn't watch many Patriots games in 2020. The offense that Cam Newton had around him was absolutely atrocious. He didn't have a true number one receiver, and I don't think he really even had a true number two receiver. So he didn't really have a lot of options or paths to success to run an offense, and he still did fairly well for himself, in my opinion. In 2020, he threw for over 2,600 yards. He almost ran for 600 yards again. He had 20 total touchdowns, 12 of those on the ground, 10 picks, and he completed almost 66% of his passes. And that was with wide receivers that you have not even heard of. So he stepped up when there wasn't much support around him. Now, when that opportunity was over and he didn't have any other options, Patriots let him walk. What did he do? He kind of bided his time, waited to see if an opportunity would show up, and it did in a homecoming to Carolina. Now, as we know, things in Carolina are not exactly ideal. And last season, that certainly was the case. Christian McCaffrey went down. That offensive line, the excuse for an offensive line was the second worst in the league. There was just not a whole lot of success that was possible. He threw for almost 700 yards, ran for 230 yards. Now, he had 9 total touchdowns, so you do like that, but he did have 5 interceptions, including a 4 interception game against the Dolphins, and completed 55% of his passes. So not the best year for Cam, but honestly, given what was surrounding him, I'm not sure what more you could have asked of him, except maybe a little bit better on the accuracy end. So As far as the football aspect for Cam Newton, we know we're not getting 2015 Cam ever again. That time has passed. The physicality is not there to that extent. But the 2020 Cam, that's well within the realm of possibilities, and that would be good enough for at least 10 teams in the NFL to take a look at him and to give him a chance. Now, I'm not sure he ever starts again in the league, but I'm not sure he has to. And if he does, it is likely going to be for a team who's either lost their starting quarterback to an injury, or the person that they had in place prior to Cam coming has clearly not worked out. So what I'm saying is I don't believe Cam is going to get a starting opportunity to start the 2022 season. I don't think that that's something that maybe he's looking for and NFL teams are looking for at this point. However, we know that injuries happen. They happen a lot, not as much to the quarterback position, but we saw plenty of action and movement last year. So if the right opportunity came up and there was a place where Cam Newton could just slide in and just kind of keep rowing the boat with the team and where he didn't have to do too much, there's no reason to think that he could not be fairly successful doing it. Does Cam still want to play football? And I think to answer that, we have to look at what other things he has going on, because Cam Newton has expanded his empire, so to speak, in a lot of different ways. So what has he done? Well, he started his own companies. One of them is called Fellowship. It is a cigar lounge and a restaurant, fairly successful, as well as Iconic Saga, which is a media production company, and that allows and administers full production and capabilities to the clients and the brands that he has worldwide. So a couple of things that he's decided to take his time and energy and spend into to expand what he has for options. He also is very prevalent on social media. He's a YouTube content creator who has over 561K subs, #goals, and he also has a couple of YouTube shows on there, including Funky Fridays, Sip and Smoke. He does vlogs, he does documentaries. He's very well versed in the social media world. On Instagram, he has over 4.5 million followers, 4.7 million to be exact. So he has other options and things that he can do, and he doesn't exactly need football. So I think to answer, does he still want to play? I think it becomes the question of where that is and what that opportunity looks like, because Cam has other things. He doesn't need to worry about if he doesn't get a team, if he doesn't get signed, what's he gonna do? He's got plenty of options and things that he can spend his time and energy on. That being said, what are some possible teams that he could either be a starter for, or that he could at least mentor a young quarterback if that's something that he wanted to do? We start with a return, which has already happened once, to Carolina with the Panthers. Now, Sam Darnold, I think most people would feel fairly okay with saying we know is not the answer. We've seen him in multiple teams now, in multiple systems. Granted, last season with CMC going down, that clearly did not work out, and that hurt him significantly because the Panthers were actually fairly solid when CMC was in. But I think Carolina is clearly an option for Cam Newton if he wants to make a second homecoming an option and try to help that homegrown team. Now, I don't foresee that being the case, but you never know. The Seattle Seahawks, after trading away Russell Wilson, we know that there needs to be something else available there. Drew Lock, who they got in that trade, I'm not quite sure that he's the answer. Now, a whole new group surrounding him, a new home, and a fresh start might be exactly what he needs. But Drew Lock hasn't exactly shown to be a capable starting NFL quarterback to this point in his career. The Seahawks are more or less in a rebuilding mode, and Cam could be kind of a bridge to that. So I think that there are worse options than the Seahawks. To the AFC, and the Pittsburgh Steelers is certainly an option. They have right now Mitch Trubisky on the reins, and I know that the Steelers want to get a good look at him, but the wheels could come off fairly quickly if we get the bad Mitch over the one that flashes well in spurts. Atlanta, who is also in a rebuild mode, could certainly use his services. Right now, they're rolling Marcus Mariota out there after the Matt Ryan trade. And I'm happy for Mariota that he gets a second chance, but there's also a reason he's been a backup for a couple of years after his time in Tennessee. The Saints have gone back to the well with Jameis Winston, and we've seen him succeed as far as the win-loss category, taking care of the football, so good for him. But I'm not entirely sure that he is the long-term option in New Orleans, and they're probably going to be a really good team on the defensive side of the ball. So if they can get someone like Cam to just control the clock, keep the ball on the ground, and complete passes when necessary, that would be a pretty solid match. Does he want to play in that same division as Carolina? I don't know, and that probably would create some sort of rift or friction. Detroit. Oh, Detroit. The Lions are forever looking for a new quarterback. They'll likely draft one early this year. But they could do a lot worse than having Cam Newton come in and mentor whoever that young quarterback is. Jared Goff's clearly not the answer, but they're paying him like he is, so you do what you want, Lions. But they could use some help at the quarterback position as well. The Houston Texans, they're going to take another look at Davis Mills. He flashed for sure at times, especially for a young third-round pick that was kind of thrown into the fire and didn't really have a whole lot going for him. But that would be an option as well. If he completely flames out in the second year, they don't have anything behind him right now. Now, that would probably not be a situation that Cam Newton would want to get involved in, because who the heck wants to go to Houston right now? But it's certainly on the table at least. And then finally, the Giants and Daniel Jones. I don't think the Giants are convinced that they want Daniel Jones to be their starting quarterback. They haven't extended him for a reason, and he's been the hot and cold that we've seen from a lot of young quarterbacks in the NFL. He has never really been able to put it together, and even had injury issues last year as well. So the Giants might take one more look at him, but how long that look is up for discussion and debate. So out of all of these teams, I think there are a couple options for Cam Newton to go to and utilize, but I just really don't believe that unless a perfect opportunity comes, whether that is with an injury to a star quarterback or through another avenue, I'm not sure that Cam wants to be back in the game unless it's a perfect fit for him. And he is able to make that decision because of all these other things that he has done. So to circle back, does Cam Newton need football? Not exactly. He's certainly got other options where he can spend his time, spend his energy, and expand his empire. Does he still want to play football? I believe that he does, but under his terms and his conditions in the perfect spot. If something does not come up that is not what he wants to do, I don't believe he's going to do that. So unless a team like the Saints is in the playoff hunt and they either have an injury or Jameis Winston isn't quite cutting it, I don't really foresee him coming back. If one of the other playoff teams that have a stud quarterback goes down, I think that he would consider that type of situation. But other than that, I highly doubt Cam's coming back for any of these rebuilding teams that are not winning football games. It just does not make sense when he's got his companies that are being successful, when he has his social media followers all over the place. Unless it's perfect for him, it's not gonna happen. And that will do it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope you learned something. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me out a ton. It enables me to do what I love so I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.